All right, let's dive into a story that's thousands of years old, but you know what? It feels like it could have been written this morning. It's a super simple fable, but it's got this powerful, maybe even uncomfortable lesson about the real cost of our actions. So let's get right into it. So let's just start with this question, right here, because it is the absolute heart of everything we're about to talk about. What if the very thing that brings you a little bit of joy is causing total terror for someone else, and you don't even see it happening?
To really unpack this idea, we've got to go back to the source, and that's a short but really heavy fable from Aesop. This is where it all begins.
Okay, so picture this. You've got a quiet pond. It's totally peaceful. You know, the kind of serene, undisturbed little spot you'd imagine in a storybook.
And into this peaceful scene, a couple of boys show up. And they're just being kids. They're playing a simple game, skipping stones. It's timeless, right? Totally innocent fun. Or so it seems. So the game really starts to pick up. The boys are completely lost in it. Stones are flying, maybe they're getting a little competitive, and they're just having an amazing time, completely wrapped up in their own little world of fun. And here it is. This is the turn. Because just beneath the surface of all that fun, there's a completely different reality playing out. For the frogs who actually live in that pond, this isn't a game at all. To them, those stones are like bombs crashing into their home. They're absolutely terrified. And this is the moment. This is the moment when everything changes. The silent victims, the ones whose reality has been totally ignored, they finally find a voice.
Wow. I mean, just let that line land for a second. The oldest, maybe the bravest, frog comes up to the surface and just says it. And listen to that language, cruel play. And then that devastating contrast. What is fun for you? Well, it means death to us.
So this gets us to the absolute core of the fable, right? It forces us to look right past our intentions and focus instead on the impact of what we do. The boys didn't mean to hurt anyone, but that doesn't change a single thing for the frogs.
And this breakdown just lays out that disconnect so clearly. On one side, you've got the boys' world, fun, play, amusement. And on the other, the frogs' reality, fear, predation, death. It is the exact same event seen from two totally different universes. It just perfectly shows you the problem.
The source material has a name for this, casual cruelty, and I think that's a perfect term. It's not cruelty that comes from malice or evil. It comes from a simple failure of imagination. It's what happens when you're in a position of power, even a little bit, and you just don't have to think about what it's like for the other guy. You end up causing harm without even trying.
Of course, this isn't really about boys and frogs, is it? This whole dynamic, this unthinking power, it plays out all around us, every single day, in all the modern ponds that we live in.
Let's just walk through a few examples. On a personal level, think about a roast where everyone's laughing, but it's at the expense of one friend who's just dying inside. Or interpersonally, that loud party that's an amazing night for you, but it's a total nightmare for your neighbor who has a sleeping baby or deals with PTSD. And in the professional world, that disruptive new company that everyone celebrates as a game changer, well, it might be destroying the livelihoods of dozens of small businesses. In every single one of these cases, one group's fun is another's fear.
So how do we justify this stuff? Oh, we have our excuses. We say, come on, it was just a joke. Or, hey, we were just playing a game. We think that if we can't see the victim, well, they must not exist. Or, and this one is maybe the most dangerous of all, we mistake their silence, their lack of protest, for a lack of pain. We forget that it takes a really, really brave frog to decide to speak up.
Okay, so recognizing the problem is one thing. That's the first step. But the fable is asking for more than just awareness. It's asking for action. It's asking us to choose to stop throwing the stones.
So here's a 4-step guide to help us do that. First, you've got to honestly assess your impact. Second, you have to accept that good intentions are not a get-out-of-jail-free card. Third, and this is so important, you have to actively listen for the voices of the frogs, for the people who are being hurt. And finally, you have to own your power with empathy, because influence always comes with responsibility.
And these mantras are really powerful tools to help put this into practice. They're simple commitments, right? Be mindful of your ripples. Value other people more than your own fun. Listen, and make a promise to yourself, I will not skip stones at the expense of the frogs.
When you boil it all down, this is what it comes to. Responsibility isn't some heavy burden, it's more like a moral anchor. It's that weight that grounds us and keeps us from just carelessly causing harm for our own entertainment.
And I just want to leave you with this one last thought to chew on. Maybe growing up, real maturity isn't about how old you are. Maybe it's about that moment of realization,
The moment you finally see the difference between a skipping stone and a missile, and you make the choice to put the stone down.